They trained their whole lives for Olympic glory. Every moment was about being faster, stronger, better. But what happens when it's all over? Today, these former champions are unrecognizable. Some turned to acting, others to boxing, and a few disappeared completely. This is what happens when the gold medals fade and real life takes over. McKayla Maroney. For years, gymnastics has been one of the most exciting sports in the world. The U.S. team has dominated in recent times, but there was a long stretch when they couldn't quite reach the top. After the Magnificent Seven won gold in 1996, the team went 16 years without another Olympic victory. That finally changed in 2012 when a new generation of gymnasts took over. They called themselves the Fierce Five: Gabby Douglas, Jordan Weber, McKayla Maroney, Ali Reisman, and Kyla Ross. Together they won gold and brought the U.S. back to the top of the gymnastics world. Maroney was one of the best vaulters in history. Her power and precision made her nearly unbeatable. In the team finals, she delivered a vault so perfect it seemed unreal. Even the commentators were stunned. But in the individual event, things took a different turn. On her second vault, she fell. A tiny misstep, but enough to cost her the gold. She stood on the podium with a silver medal trying to hide her disappointment. Her expression said it all. Lips pressed together, eyes slightly narrowed. She wasn't impressed. Cameras caught the moment, and the internet took it from there. Within days, it became a meme. "McKayla is not impressed" spread everywhere. Even President Obama joined in on the joke, posing with Maroney and making the same unimpressed face. Behind the meme was an athlete who had poured everything into her sport. She had planned to keep competing, but injuries changed that. Years of training had taken a toll on her body. Surgeries and pain made it impossible to continue. She had no choice but to retire. For the first time since she was a child, gymnastics was no longer at the center of her life. She didn't disappear, though. Instead, she reinvented herself. She got into music and acting, exploring new passions she had never had time for. With that came a new look. Makeup, fashion, a different style. People started speculating. Rumors of plastic surgery spread online. Maroney shut them down, saying she had simply grown up. As she told 17, people get uncomfortable when someone changes even a little. But to her, change was a good thing. She didn't just focus on herself. She spoke up about the struggles athletes face. She used her voice for something bigger. Her journey took her from Olympic gold to viral fame to a completely new career. It wasn't the path she expected, but she made it her own. Rulon Gardner. Rulon Gardner was never supposed to win. At the 2000 Sydney Olympics, he faced Alexander Karelin, a Russian wrestler who hadn't lost in 13 years. Karelin had won 3 Olympic gold medals and was so dominant that no one had even scored a point against him in 6 years. Most people thought the match was already decided before it even started. But then something unbelievable happened. Gardner refused to back down. He held his ground and didn't let Karelin control the match. When the final whistle blew, Gardner had done the impossible. He won. The world had just witnessed one of the biggest upsets in Olympic history. They called it the miracle on the mat. That moment should have been the peak of his story. But life had other plans. After the Olympics, Gardner faced challenges far beyond wrestling. He survived a snowmobiling accident that left him stranded in freezing temperatures overnight. By the time he was rescued, his body had taken severe damage. He lost a toe to frostbite. Then came financial struggles, and at one point, he had to file for bankruptcy. In 2011, his biggest fight was with his own body. After retiring from wrestling, his weight had climbed to 474 pounds. That year, he joined The Biggest Loser and pushed himself to lose 173 pounds over 16 weeks. He seemed on track for a major comeback, but then, without warning, he quit the show. He later said he was treated unfairly, but never shared the full story, explaining that an NDA kept him from revealing what really happened. Even after that, he wasn't ready to give up on wrestling. He tried to compete again, but his weight kept getting in the way. He missed weigh-ins because he was too heavy. By 2020, he was nearly 500 pounds again. Gardner's life has been a constant battle, both on and off the mat. He won against impossible odds once, but his toughest fight has always been the one that never ends. Mark Spitz. Before Michael Phelps ruled the pool, Mark Spitz was the biggest name in Olympic swimming. He competed for the U.S. in the 1968 Mexico City Games, and then he left Munich with 7 gold medals, the most ever won by a single athlete at the time. But it wasn't just his speed that people remembered. His mustache became just as famous. Swimmers usually shaved everything to reduce drag, but Spitz showed up with a thick mustache. He hadn't planned to keep it. He grew it without much thought and figured he'd shave before the competition. Then something strange happened. His competitors couldn't stop staring at it. The Russian swim team was especially curious. Their coaches even asked if it gave him an advantage. He told them his mustache deflected water away from his mouth and actually made him faster. It was a joke, but they believed him. Spitz kept his for years, but shaved it off in 1988. He had 3 reasons. He wasn't swimming anymore, it had started turning gray, and his wife and kids had never seen him without it. So he got rid of it and never grew it back. The mustache may be gone, but his place in Olympic history is forever. Nick Symmonds. Nick Symmonds spent years training to be fast. As a 2-time Olympic sprinter, he kept his body lean because every extra pound could slow him down. But after competing in the 2008 and 2012 Olympics, he walked away from the track and found a new passion: lifting weights. And that changed everything. At first, it was just about staying active. He started going to the gym, lifting regularly, and enjoying the new challenge. But the more he trained, the more he realized something. He felt stronger than ever. Not just in the gym, but in everyday life. Running had kept him light and quick. But now he was building real strength. And he liked it. Then came powerlifting. Speed no longer mattered. He wanted to lift as much weight as possible. And to do that, he needed size. His first plan was simple: eat more. A lot more. He let himself eat whatever he wanted, thinking the extra weight would help him lift heavier. It worked for a while, but he knew he had to be smarter. He didn't just want mass, he wanted muscle. So, he changed his approach, focusing on eating the right way and training even harder. The difference was huge. The lean runner was gone. In his place was a stronger, more muscular version of himself. He hadn't just moved on from sprinting, he had completely rebuilt his body. Tonya Harding. Tonya Harding was one of the most powerful ice skaters of the 1990s. She had the skill. She had the strength. But she wanted more. She wanted the fame and attention that her rival Nancy Kerrigan was getting. Winning gold at the 1994 Olympics could have changed everything for her. But instead of just relying on talent, Harding's camp decided to take a darker path. Her then-husband Jeff Gillooly came up with a plan. If Kerrigan couldn't compete, Harding would have a clear shot at victory. A hitman was hired to attack Kerrigan after a practice session. A baton to the knee. A brutal strike meant to end her Olympic dreams. Cameras caught Kerrigan on the ground, clutching her leg and crying out in pain. The footage spread everywhere, but the attack didn't go as planned. Kerrigan recovered in time for the Olympics, and investigators quickly unraveled the truth. Harding denied knowing about the plan, but the evidence stacked up against her. She avoided jail time by taking a plea deal, but the damage was done. She was banned from figure skating for life. All the years of training, the competitions, the struggle to make a name for herself, it was all gone. Her career had been about pushing limits, landing jumps that no other skater could. But now she was only remembered for the scandal. With no future in skating, she had to find something new. In 2002, she stepped into a different kind of spotlight: boxing. It was nothing like the ice. No glittering outfits, no graceful routines. Just gloves, grit, and the ability to take a hit. Her first match was a celebrity fight, and she won. That victory led her to go pro the next year. Now, she lives a quieter life, far from the chaos of her past. But no matter how much time passes, people still remember her. Not just for her talent, but for the moment when everything changed. Tara Lipinski. From a young age, Tara showed a rare talent for figure skating. At just 14, she made history by winning the U.S. Nationals. A few months later, she became the youngest skater ever to win the World Championship. But her biggest moment came at the 1998 Winter Olympics in Nagano. She was only 15, but she skated with a level of confidence that left everyone in awe. Her routine was packed with difficult jumps, and when she finished, the crowd knew they had just witnessed something special. When the final scores came in, she had won the gold medal. No one that young had ever done it before. For many, that kind of victory would have been the start of a long career. But Lipinski took a different path. After the Olympics, she shocked the skating world by announcing her decision to turn professional. She had been dealing with injuries, and the demands of competitive skating were taking a toll on her body. Going pro allowed her to keep skating without the pressure of competition. She toured with champions on ice and stars on ice, performing in front of packed arenas. But by 2002, she stepped away from skating entirely. That could have been the end of her time in the spotlight, but Lipinski had other plans. She explored different career paths, trying acting and even getting involved in philanthropy. Nothing truly clicked until 2010, when she found a new passion: broadcasting. She started as a commentator for Universal Sports, covering figure skating events. A year later, NBC noticed her potential and brought her on board. Everything changed at the 2014 Winter Olympics in Sochi. NBC paired her with Johnny Weir, a former skater known for his bold personality, and Terry Gannon, a veteran sportscaster. The three of them had an instant chemistry. Their commentary was lively and full of personality, something figure skating coverage had never really seen before. Fans loved them. By the next Olympics, they had become NBC's main figure skating commentators. Gabby Douglas. Born on December 31, 1995, Gabby started gymnastics at a young age. By the time she was 16, she was making history. At the 2012 London Olympics, she became the first African-American gymnast to win the all-around gold medal. She also helped Team USA, known as the Fierce Five, win the team gold. Her performances were a perfect mix of power and grace. She returned for the 2016 Rio Olympics, where she was part of the Final Five, securing another gold for the U.S. team. After Rio, Douglas took a step back. Years of training had left her physically and mentally drained. Like many athletes, she faced the challenge of figuring out what life looked like after competition. Instead of focusing on gymnastics, she shifted her attention to something new: strength training. Gymnasts are usually trained to stay lean and compact, but Douglas took a different approach. She wanted to build muscle, not just for fitness, but as a way to regain control over her body. Her transformation was striking. She looked stronger than ever, and her focus on weight training changed the way people saw her. She was no longer just a gymnast. She was an athlete in a new way. For Douglas, this change was about more than just physical strength. She became an advocate for body positivity and mental health, using her platform to talk about the struggles that athletes face when their careers slow down. She spoke openly about self-care and resilience, inspiring many of her fans. Her journey was also captured in the media. The Lifetime biopic, The Gabby Douglas Story, gave people a closer look at her life, while her reality series Douglas Family Gold showed what it was like to navigate fame, family, and life beyond gymnastics. Even after stepping away from competition, she remained a role model. Lolo Jones. Lolo Jones has never been the kind of athlete who backs down from a challenge. She grew up in Des Moines, Iowa, where life wasn't always easy. Her family struggled with money, and at one point, they had to live in a church basement. But she never let that stop her. She found her escape in running, and that escape turned into something bigger than she ever imagined. At Louisiana State University, she became one of the best hurdlers in the country. She won 3 NCAA titles and earned 11 All-American honors. By the mid-2000s, she was rising fast in the world of track and field. In 2008, she was the favorite to win gold in the 100-meter hurdles at the Beijing Olympics. She dominated the race, clearing hurdle after hurdle with perfect form. Then, just as she was about to finish, she clipped the second-to-last hurdle. In an instant, her dream slipped away. She finished 7th. The loss was heartbreaking, but she didn't let it define her. She came back strong, winning gold at the World Athletics Final that same year. Her career kept going, but injuries and setbacks made it harder to reach the top again. Instead of giving up, she took a different path. She switched to bobsledding, a move that caught everyone by surprise. But she was strong and fast, which made her a perfect fit for the sport. She joined the U.S. national team and competed in the 2014 Winter Olympics. In 2013,
so it was all
she
the more
won
shocking
gold at the
for
World
Jones when she
Championships,
found tremendous.
then did it again in 2021. Even with all her success, she wasn't done reinventing herself. In 2014, she stepped into the world of reality TV with Dancing with the Stars. Her time on the show was short. She was the first contestant eliminated, but it was just the beginning. In 2019, she joined Celebrity Big Brother, then The Challenge in 2020. Each time, she showed the same competitive fire she had on the track. Bethanie Mattek-Sands. Bethanie Mattek-Sands has always stood out. When she was still playing professional tennis, people noticed her for more than just her talent. She wore knee-high socks, bold patterns, and outfits that made her impossible to miss. She was born on March 23, 1985, and built a career as one of the best doubles players in tennis. She won 9 Grand Slam titles and an Olympic gold medal in 2016 with Jack Sock. Her partnership with Lucy Shafarova was legendary. Together, they won 5 major titles, including 2 at the Australian Open and 2 at the French Open. Her career had its challenges. In 2017, she suffered a brutal knee injury at Wimbledon. It was the kind of injury that could have ended everything. But she refused to let that be the way her story ended. She spent a year recovering, then fought her way back onto the court. She kept playing at a high level, proving she wasn't done yet. When she finally stepped away from professional tennis, she didn't fade into the background. She embraced a new image, one that felt even more like her true self. She cut her hair short, dyed it every color imaginable, and leaned into a punk-inspired look. Fans loved it. She wasn't trying to fit into the mold of a retired athlete. She was having fun, being herself, and showing that there's no one way to move on from a sports career. Allison Schmitt. Allison Schmitt's journey started in the pool, but her story became so much bigger than swimming. She competed in 4 Olympic Games from 2008 to 2020, winning 10 medals, 4 of them gold. She was more than just fast. She was a leader. By the time she reached the Rio and Tokyo Olympics, she was captain of the U.S. swimming team, guiding younger athletes and setting the tone for one of the most dominant teams in the sport. Her big moment came at the 2012 London Olympics. She won gold in the 200-meter freestyle, dominating the race in a way that left no doubt about her talent. She also played a key role in relay events, helping the U.S. team bring home multiple gold medals. She had everything an athlete could dream of: talent, success, respect. But behind all of that, she was struggling. Schmitt first felt the weight of depression in 2011, but she kept it to herself. Athletes are trained to push through pain, to keep moving forward no matter what. She did exactly that until 2015, when tragedy struck. Her cousin, April Bosian, died by suicide. That moment changed everything. Instead of staying silent, Schmitt decided to speak up. She started sharing her own battle with depression, knowing that if she could help just one person, it would be worth it. She became an advocate for mental health, using her platform to show that even the strongest athletes can struggle. Her honesty was rare in sports. It made a difference. She started talking at events, sitting down for interviews, and pushing for more mental health awareness. Other athletes began opening up too. Conversations that once felt impossible were finally happening. The culture in sports was shifting, and Schmitt was leading the way. She still loves swimming, but her focus has changed. She's now studying social work at Arizona State University, preparing for a future where she can continue helping others. Her impact goes beyond the pool. In 2022, she was recognized for her work in mental health advocacy with the MM+M Platinum Award. But for Schmitt, the real reward is knowing that her story is helping others feel less alone. Shaun White. For years, it became part of his identity. But after decades in the spotlight, he was ready for something new. His decision came from a funny encounter with comedian Carrot Top. Seeing them side by side made him realize he didn't want to be known just for his hair forever. That White was evolving. He had spent years being the face of snowboarding, but now he started giving back, donating to charities like the Boys and Girls Clubs of America, and explored new ventures in music and business, showing that his talents stretched beyond the slopes. Michael Phelps. Michael Phelps is the most decorated Olympian of all time. 28 Olympic medals, 23 of them gold. That kind of dominance isn't just rare, it's almost unimaginable. His journey began at the 2000 Sydney Olympics when he was just 15. He didn't win a medal that year, but the world had already taken notice. 4 years later in Athens, he delivered a performance that set the tone for his career. 6 golds, 2 bronze, and a message to the world that he wasn't just another talented swimmer. He was something else entirely. Then came Beijing in 2008. That was the year he did the impossible. 8 gold medals in a single Games. A record that shattered the mark set by Mark Spitz in 1972. That moment, the fingertip finish in the 100-meter butterfly, the sheer dominance in the medley relay, cemented his status as a legend. London 2012 followed with 4 more golds and 2 silvers, proving he wasn't done yet. Then Rio 2016, his farewell tour, where he added 5 more golds and another silver before walking away from the sport for good. Phelps didn't just win medals, he rewrote history. 39 world records fell during his career. He redefined what was possible in swimming, setting standards that may never be matched. But even for an athlete of his caliber, time catches up. The grind of training, the pressure of competition, the weight of expectations, it all takes a toll. After Rio, everything changed. The relentless training schedule was gone. The body that had once burned through 12,000 calories a day no longer needed that fuel. The result? Weight gain. For years, Phelps had maintained a lean, chiseled physique. Now, without the intense training, his body naturally adjusted. He looked different, but it wasn't just about appearances. It was about a shift in priorities, a transformation that went far beyond physical changes. Phelps has been open about his battles with depression and anxiety. These struggles weren't new. They had been there throughout his career, lurking behind the medals and records. In 2014, he checked into a treatment center for 45 days, confronting the issues that had followed him for years. Retirement only amplified those challenges. Without swimming, without the structure and purpose it provided, he had to find a new way forward. One of the most visible signs of his transformation was his beard. It became more than just facial hair. It was a symbol of stepping away from the rigid discipline of competitive swimming. For years, every detail of his life had been controlled, every aspect fine-tuned for performance. The beard was different. It was a reflection of a man finally living on his own terms, but perhaps the most meaningful change came in his personal life. He married Nicole Johnson in 2016. Together, they have 3 children, a family that has become his new foundation. The intensity of Olympic competition was replaced by something just as fulfilling: fatherhood. Instead of chasing world records, he was chasing his kids around the house. Phelps also found a new mission: mental health advocacy. He knew what it felt like to struggle in silence, to battle demons, while the world only saw the victories. Now, he uses his platform to talk openly about mental health, encouraging others to seek help, to break the stigma, to understand that even the greatest athletes are not invincible. His story is more than just a tale of Olympic glory. It's about reinvention, about facing struggles head-on, about finding purpose beyond the sport that once defined him. Michael Phelps was once known for his speed in the water, but his most important journey might be the one he's taking now, out of the pool and into a new chapter of life.